Hey, listen, there comes a time in everyone's life where you're faced with the choice of doing the task that's been given to you or refusing to do it. So earlier on in my journey, I'm not sure if it was blatant refusal to do what I felt God was leading me to do, like in the form of leaving my job, but I do believe that it was fear, like fear that I was creating these thoughts in my head just because I was so unhappy with myself and where I was in my career. But what I now know is that God uses those emotions mixed with those thoughts to put a certain level of pressure on you to make a move. So the excuse of fear or anything else are still refusals to do or follow his direction. But I love how Priscilla Shirer puts it in her book, Discerning the Voice of God. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. So it got to the point in my journey when I had to choose life or death. I know it sounds funny, right? But it's kind of crazy. But in this case, it really, really happened. And people think only God can choose life or death. Well, in my case, this is how it rolled down. And so in the spring of 2019, I remember it so clearly. I had a moment with a student that should have been a clear sign that it was time to move on away from the world of education or teaching. But I realized that the problems of education were systemic and that I was trying my hardest but getting nowhere on the ground floor. Somewhere along the line, I had forgotten that it was not in my own power, that the changes that I wanted to see in the lives of these children, but those changes were only going to happen supernaturally. So God made it very clear to me one day when a 7th grade girl pushed me during a conversation. However, when the new school year came, despite his warnings, I committed to yet another school year of teaching. And as professional development started that year, something registered inside me that I should not be here, but I stayed. I continued through November when I mysteriously found out that I had a hernia. I had taken care of that and I still stayed. I knew in my spirit that I should have left over the holiday break. I still stayed. Started back in January and was stressed out to the max, sick every other week, exhausted my sick time. My family saw the absolute worst of it. And I was no good for them because I wasn't being good to me. I still stayed. February, I'm having chest pains and I feel this hardened vein across my chest with this sleepy, tingly, numb feeling in my arm. And at this point, I'm not sure about, but I think I'm about to have a stroke. I still go to work. It's only when my doctor calls me at work and says, come in and go straight to the ER that I decide to leave. So I remember as I get there, they move me to the front of the line. It's like 30 people in front of me. Take my blood pressure, they observe me, they observe the vein, and they say nothing. And they rush me into a treatment room. At this point, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm dying or just in really bad shape. So I call my husband and I tell him to meet me there. And then finally they come in and they announce that I have a blood clot in my chest. And they're trying to make sure that it's not the type that will move to my lung, which could kill me. And it's in that moment that I get it. That my life is so much more valuable than any job and that I want to live. The truth is that they would have had a substitute in that classroom before the end of the day, and that my husband and my children would be left to live a life without me. So as the doctors are surrounding me to tell me about the blood thinners that I would have to take for the next 6 weeks, I started to pray out loud so that God could hear me. And I pulled out my tablet and I remember listening to podcasts for that season, and I listened to a Joel Osteen podcast and agreeing with the one part that this situation is not God's best for me. And that was a word that I needed to hear. And I just started confessing that thing right there. Next thing I know, I black out. But when I come to, the room is racing as they rush me on a gurney to the treatment room. And the doctors are saying, no blood thinners. She's gonna be okay. Just make sure she gets some rest. And I've never been more relieved in my life. He answered my prayer immediately, all because I was willing to trust him with my life. The recognition of God's sovereignty over your life and the notion that he is a good father, far above that of your earthly father. He's looking to have a very intimate relationship with you and will ask you to do some things that will prove that you trust him far above anything or anyone else. It's so incredibly important that you respond to his call in a positive manner, even when it hurts. The fact that you are unsure of the outcome of your yes proves that you're willing to trust him. It is in that place of leaning completely on him that he's able to reveal himself to you in ways that will blow your mind. I can't wait to hear all about it.